Hello, fellow music nuts. It's me, Cubby, and I have another personal spin for you today. This personal spin is a ranking. I am going to rank Static X's albums from my least favourite to my favourite. Um, I struggled with these because it's quite a small discography, but Static X arguably kind of were quite sort of samey, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but sort of they had a formula and they very much largely stuck to it. Um, um, but I did rather enjoy the formula, so yeah. So let's just begin, shall we? As always, these are quite fluid, but my least favourite is probably Cult of Static. I don't really know the circumstances behind this album, but it seems the band broke up very shortly after it, and it doesn't flow like the other albums, and I never really enjoyed it that much. There seems to be a bit of a thing with this album, so it never really stuck with me. Nothing was particularly catchy. There wasn't anything particularly interesting about it, and so it's at the bottom of the pile. Next up, this kind of surprised me as because my next least favorite album is actually their debut, Wisconsin Death Trip, which is interesting to me. I kind of feel this would be fluid, because this is a really good debut album. It's so good, and at the time it was really quite unique. And having it this low in the ranking shouldn't detract from how good it actually is. It's just that the caliber of their other albums for me are actually at a point that surpasses this one in some ways. Although this does have I'm With Stupid, Bled for Days, Love Dump, and Push It, which are all really good songs. This does have more of an industrial edge to it actually, which I really enjoy. But while that may be so, this one is quite interesting because it pushes the bar on their musical soundscapes. They continue very much in the same vein as their other albums, but this one sees the introduction of Koichi Fukuda. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Oh, this case is broken. He's Japanese, and so I apologise for my really bad pronunciation of the name. Look at me not Englishing properly. Which leads to guitar solos and other interesting, slightly more elegant and interesting guitar work from the band in general, while also sticking to their pretty solid formula. So I actually like this one slightly more than Wisconsin Death Trip, but only slightly. All these are very close. It's just a case of something had to be last, really. That brings us to the next favourite album, which is actually their newest one. Assuming you would actually count it. Now, it says Static X on the top, but obviously Wayne Static is no longer with us. RIP. But this is made by all of his bandmates and features lots of his vocals. So I decided it did count. Because of the way it was made, there's actually quite a lot of sampling and industrial stuff going on, and it's quite an unorthodox album even by Static X's thing, but it's also really well made, and apparently there may actually be a second volume to this because they found even more vocal takes from Wayne, and I think it's a really good sort of goodbye album, you know, to end on a strong note like this is actually really good. It's a really good memorial album, I feel, and some people might think it's like a cash grab because obviously he died, but I feel it's been done pretty tastefully, and Wayne obviously intended to release these songs fairly soon because they're very much almost complete anyway. So I quite it's a pretty good one, and it's actually sort of edging to the top of my album of the year almost. Not quite. There's a couple of things I like more, but that's pretty. It's definitely in the top 10. Anyway, onwards. Top 3 now. My third favourite is actually the first Static X album I got, which is Machine. I really like this. It's quite a drastic change in style to the first one. It's a bit more commercial because obviously they signed to Warner Brothers, had suddenly become pretty big overnight really. It's got Black and White on it, Otsego Undead, Cold, which is actually quite a good song, but I always felt that it would have been slightly better if the vocals had been just a little bit more melodic in the underness of the shouted Cold part. Anyway, that's a nitpicky thing. But yeah, this one introduced me to Static X, and so it's always going to have a fairly high place in the thingy. However, I think they actually outdid themselves with the next two. I don't know what it is. It's like they found the formula from Machine and then went with it, but they sort of improved it. They improved the sound. They improved the way they do it, and just for me, these two are really good. But the order specifically is Start of War. It's a really good one. It's the third one, and I really like it. Dirt House is really good. Um, Start a War, I'm the One, The Enemy. Basically, the whole album is really catchy. And yeah, it's just really good. And it also has Koichi Fukuda. I think that's his name. Although not, I think he joined after they'd written the album, so he's actually just in the photographs. But it's still really good, really good. And then my favourite, believe it or not, is actually Shadow Zone, barring the dodgy guitarist, which we won't mention anymore. This is actually my favourite. I love the way the bass guitar is really quite forward in the mix, and so you can hear the rhythms of it working with the drums, which I really like from Tony. He's a really good bass player and a really good vocalist as well. He does a lot of the backing vocals. But not only that, but like every song on this album, although they are mostly really short, most of them are under 3 minutes long, are really catchy. So yeah, it's just my favourite. I think they got the formulas perfect with this one. And Nick's really good drummer, and just everything about it really is just really enjoyable, and it's also really green. So yeah. Anyway, please like and subscribe if you like my videos, and comment about what order you think they should be in, or what order you like them in, and things like that. Be interesting to discuss it. And I shall see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Goodbye.